I received a real simple text message this morning from Carol that said, "Will you tell the bees?" Which was code for my dear friend, her husband, Andrew Michael Gralton, passed away. I was here last year putting up a swarm box and we caught bees. When I put the swarm box up, I knew that he was very ill, and I was thrilled when we caught the bees in his back garden. So I'm back here today to put this box up, and in the past 6 months I sat down with him and we talked, and I recorded some of his thoughts on life, and I'm going to let him talk now. I love you, Mike, and I miss you, brother.
Oh, I met Carol when I was in the Navy. Carol was a writer, and I met her in the club on the base at Chatham. There was lots of beer, alcohol that being consumed and stuff. But I joined the Navy because there was no work. Everyone was unemployed. Kirby was known as the Ponderosa. Used to reckon it was full of cowboys. When I was born, we moved in with my nan and granddad. And then in the end, my mum and dad got a house. But most people were Catholic, and even if they weren't, they all went to the Catholic club at the weekend. People knew each other through, it was a big social point where people met up and they did lots of things together through the club and the church. Yeah, it was amazing. There was certain places here, there, and everywhere that it looked like a war site. But I was glad I joined the Navy because it gave you a bit of discipline. It showed you that you weren't, the only one on the planet, and that there was times when you had to do as you told straight away. I was young, and I think if I'd have stayed in Kirby, I really don't know what would have happened, because you could easily have fallen into bad habits, and it's easy, in my opinion, to be bad than it is to be good. My dad's family are from Ireland, Roscommon. They're from my dad's family, and my mum's family are all from Liverpool. My mum used to tell us how when she was working in a munitions factory, they used to go on the roof. It shows you how crazy people are. And they used to watch the German bombers come across and bomb the port area of Liverpool. Of all the places to go, the roof of the munitions factory. But my mum and dad were very even, very fair. They never talked about anyone outside the house. Well, if they had any, they'd turn around and say, "This is for in the house only." And they might say, "Listen, you want to stay away from him because whatever." We all used to go to church on a Sunday, and every Saints Day, that type of deal. My mum's a big believer. I believe, actually, although I don't go to church, but I do believe. I do say a prayer every now and then, most nights. My mother had 3 brothers and 1 sister, and she was the oldest. And one Christmas, we used to get 1 present at Christmas. And one Christmas, she gave me a jumper. And she turned around and said, "What do you think about your jumper?" And I said, "Mum, to be honest with you, it's crap." That's all I said. My dad looked at me and he said, You're on your own now, you know that, don't you? And I looked down, not really understanding what he was talking about. The next thing is Con, John and Albert turn up. Con was a Welsh Guardsman. John was in the Air Force. And Albert was a Royal Horse Artilleryman during the war. They all went in the war. And they just walked in and he said, "You get up in the garden now." So I go in the back garden and you just come right up close. "Who the fuck do you think you are talking to my sister like that? You've broken her heart. She's done everything she can. And she got you a nice present. And you say it's crap." And Con said, "Well, I've had enough. Come on, let's have a go. You think you're a man. Let's have a go." And I'm looking and my dad's... And then the next thing is Albert turned around and he says, "Mike, the best thing you can do is go in that house now. Say you're sorry to your mum and give her a big hug." Which is what I did. I never ever said anything like that again. I have two brothers, James, who's younger, and Stephen, who's older. Stephen's 4 years older than me. And James is 3 years younger than me.
Tell me that story again, about the boat.
Oh, we were just sat there talking at Catch You Can, and we saw this boat starting to take the rope up.
No, wait a minute. Where were you? You weren't just sitting outside.
We were in a bar, but the bar was next to the ship, and we saw these things, and I said to James, I said, "Come on." I think we only had 2 drinks, if that. I said, we're gonna have to work this out and go now. So we went, and as we're walking down, it was our ship we were looking at that was having the ropes pulled in. We got a verbal telling off from 2 people on the ship, Carol and Sue, my wife and my sister-in-law. We bought some tickets to get to Seattle. James was all confused because he couldn't figure out how we were still in America. We get off the airport and Stephen, my son, came to meet us. And James says to me, he said, "How's your Stephen going to meet us?" I said, "Oh, he'll find us." And the next thing I heard behind us, well. And there we were. So we ended up staying the night with our Stephen and his wife, Leah. And we picked up the girls and drove back home. It wasn't a silent trip, I can assure you of that. Our James lives in West Derby. Our Stephen moved out. He lives in a village anyway between Preston and Liverpool.
So what was Carol's family like?
Her dad was a very hard-working guy. He was an engineer. And he didn't put up with fools lightly. He was very hard-working. I liked him, actually, but I wouldn't have wanted to work for him. But they were all hard-working. All of them were hard-working. Look after the kids and the grandkids and all the rest. They had all that. Whereas I've always been a believer of there's always someone bigger and better.
So when you meet your maker, what are you going to tell him?
Be like meeting a general, you know. But no, I believe in God. I believe in. I think the Catholic religion is a good human religion because it allows you to be human, make mistakes, and then as long as you firmly believe it and don't do it again, you can be forgiven. It's when you're constantly doing it and you're asking to be forgiven over the same things. That's when it becomes an issue. But there again, after saying that, that's up to the Lord. That's up to God, whether he wants to do that or not. I mean, he's in charge of it all. He just gives you enough knowledge to do what you need to do. It's strange. I've always tried to vision what I was doing, especially in the police and in the prison. Vision everything that you're going to do and then stick by what you say you're going to do. Because if you don't, it doesn't work.
Who were some of your favourite characters in the police department?
In the police department? Bug, Bugara, Mike Shylock. He's a gent, he is Shylock. Because Shylock's a nice guy. And he's not all this, gun-ho. And Eddie Alba, he made me laugh because when I first met him, he was working undercover and he was in this house and we were told to go there and assist, and he's got all this thing on with just his face showing. And Eddie Alba's got this raspy voice. You know what I mean? They were all out one night after doing this thing, did all the paperwork, and we all went down this, the pub off the end of McGilvery in 164th, southeast. And he looks at me and he goes, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I just met you in the house up the road." And he looked at me, he said, how do you know that? I said, "Eddie, is there anyone else in this city that has a voice that sounds like you?" I said, "Eddie, me and you can't be bank robbers. Because as soon as we speak, we're caught." And he looked at me just like that. He looked at me and he started laughing. And he goes, "I like you." And I remember hearing him, someone said something. It wasn't a bad thing what he said, but someone said something. And he turned around and he said, "There's one thing," he said, "you can trust Mike. He doesn't say anything about anybody. He may think about them, but he doesn't say anything." And he said, and he keeps his thoughts to himself. And if he actually tells you something, it's because he's trying to help you. And Eddie's a cool dude, really is. Yeah, Mike Shylock. I'm glad I met Mike Shylock. I'm glad I met Bug. There's a few people, I can't remember them all, but I'm glad I met them. Bug, he attracts some beautiful women. Never understood how, but he does. I'll tell you a funny story about me. I'm in traffic court in Albuquerque. And every time you wrote a ticket, you had to go to court. Whether it be traffic or not, everything was classified as a crime. So I go into court and all the police guys, they're all going, "Hey, is this English guy?" So you had to do this rigmarole. And my name's Officer Mike Gralton. My badge number is 128. I'm on duty. At the time I was on duty in the city of Albuquerque, county of Bernalillo, wearing my full dress of office. And if you don't say that, then they can throw it out. And it was in front of a female judge called Garcia. So I do my bit and I'm speak to her, and she goes, which part of England are you from? And I said, I'm originally from Liverpool, ma'am. She says, my mother is from Cambridge. I says, it's very nice down there. She says, yes. She says, it's flat, isn't it? I says, the bits I've seen, it is flat. The whole part of England is flat down there. And she says, and then she turned around to the guy who I wrote the ticket, and she says, why were you speeding? And the guy goes, and she says, I'm asking you a question. Why were you speeding? Officer Gralton says, you were speeding. You must have been speeding. And then the room was deadly silent. And then there was this laughter, this little titter going around the room. And then all the other VPD guys says, when I've got caught, I'm taking you with me. It was comical, really. It was quite funny. I mean, the world's beautiful. I mean, you just can't get away from that. It's beautiful. It's, people go on about it being dirty, and I look around and I think, look at the street there. That's not dirty. Do you think it's dirty out there? I don't know, but I do believe in God. I just hope that I've been able to leave enough for the family. I hope I've been a good father. I hope I've been a good officer, because I think that's important.
What do you think? How do you think your kids would answer that question?
I think they would say yes. But you still have the thoughts in your mind. I could have done this better, could have done that better. We always have them doubts. But I do hope that I've been a good neighbour. I hope I've helped more people than they've had to help me. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? It is a strange thing to face, because you know you're going to die. And now they haven't told me a date, 12 on so-and-so. But you do know that's going to happen. And it's like this thing in front of you. A wall. Like a wall of clouds or whatever. You wanna change it because you wanna do this, you wanna do that. Carol said to me last night, I think it was last night before, she'd worked out exactly how much our estate was worth. Carol said, I wish we'd have spent it. And I'm glad that I'm leaving that. So I sit here at night and think about what I should do best. Reference the monies. I mean, here I am, the ex-policeman who supposedly used to go around and teach people about security and that. And I've got 25 grand underneath the mattress. We'll work it all out, and hopefully I die in this chair one night. But yeah, that's why I sit down here and sleep in this chair. That's where I don't want to have that left on Carol. She wakes up and there's this block of ice next to her. No. Just, have a sleep, fall asleep. And then that's the end of it. That's what I would like. I don't want any of this messing around. So I'm hoping me and the Lord can have that. Shauna, she's amazing. She was a clever girl. She is a clever girl. Shauna's done well though when you think about her. She's one of these ladies that can...
She can manage money, Shauna.
No, Shauna and Stephen are both people who can learn. Yeah, you can teach them anything, basically. Well, you could. They both work well. No, but Stephen and Shauna, they both have minds to learn, which is always going to set them in good stead. But I think I've reincarnated myself with Stephen. I hope Stephen's polite. Shauna, I hope she's another polite person. Got manners. I hope that's the way it is. I hope I've been a good father. I think they would say yes.